the universe like, no. And it happened.
So why did you turn it down real quick? Hi, Cassandra.
Good morning.
I turned it down just because I thought, well, no, I'm supposed to do just my business, my personal business. And so I was just like convinced with that. And so I was telling Ginger and Bob, I took the job.
Nice. Okay, we're recording, so we're going to start the meeting. It's okay. It's all good. It's recording as soon as you guys come on. So thank you, Ginger. I know it's 4 a.m. You're back home Pacific time, aren't you? You're such a trooper. Thank you so much. So I'm so excited that just the 3 of us on now so far, but if more join, that's great. And then I'm going to put it on the page after. So I'm super excited this morning because we basically missed last week between rescheduling and our technical difficulties. Ginger, we didn't get to broadcast our call last week. So I'll kind of recap. The week before, we had Lynn on, and she was speaking about the fears we might have as we're growing and potentially losing people that are close to us, and what to do about that, to let them go or to maybe elevate ourselves even further to figure out how to keep them in our life by eliminating their fears. And she kind of touched on the broad spectrum, and then you had a great experience, so that's why we're bringing you on. And I also wanted to kind of recap, because I had a lot of good comments after Lynn's call, and also some questions about, the structure and really what it's all about. So I kind of wanted to pre-frame everything again. So I've actually had a number of people coming to me and asking me or making comments and made me realize I hadn't really defined the structure as well as I would like to. So basically, I've started the nonprofit organization Ripple Effect Foundation. So I have had this calling for a number of years, and it's been in my mind for a long time. And I was putting all my other ducks in a row so that I could devote my time to this. So now it's coming to fruition, which is great. So the mission for Ripple Effect is to elevate the collective consciousness all around the world for all of humanity. I feel the suffering, and I don't know how to tolerate that. I just have to move forward and do something about it. And that's just coming through me too. Wherever that comes from, none of us really completely understand, but something's created us and something is telling me to do this. So I'm doing it. And I had been studying quite a while about different ways to elevate the consciousness. And I'm aware that we can do that just from our frequency without even direct contact or even virtual interaction with people. We can, at a certain point, we're reaching tens of thousands of people, even more, just by our own frequency being elevated. So I'm still studying that. I'm still going to do that. I'm going to share that with everyone so that, you could take that information and do what you like with it. But also to use the media that we have available to us, so many different ways. And I'm just learning how to reach everyone. I'm getting a lot of people to help me with that because it's not my thing. But to reach as many people through these mediums as well. So from the structure of Ripple Effect, I'm creating unlimited number of programs. And I'm also manifesting leaders to take over those programs so that I can keep expanding, because it's not practical for one person to be running everything. I wouldn't be able to accomplish what I'm intending. So one of those tangents is the Shifting from Fear to Love Facebook group. And along with that is these calls, the Zoom calls, where we're going to bring in guest speakers who have had experiences that they want to share that are going to help everybody to understand, to bring awareness, to bring tools, so that when we become aware and we don't want to tolerate that for ourselves, we know where to go to find the resources to make a change. So that's the whole point of this call, this weekly call. We're going to do a weekly call now. Some people were asking, is it a mastermind group? Is it all these different terms, these buzzwords? I don't really get wrapped up in all that. I just do what I can feel is going to move us towards the mission. So a couple weeks ago, I just thought, you know what? I think this type of form would be useful for people. And I just started doing it. And if it works and it's helping people, great, we're going to keep doing it. If we need to switch it and, maybe change the layout or the format or the timing, whatever, we'll do whatever comes up that we need to do to get the message in and accomplish the mission. So I hope that helps for a lot of people that had questions about what's happening. So today, I'm so excited, Ginger. Thank you for coming on again. We had our call last Monday, and the IT gods did not want it to go onto the group. So, and that was fine because it was also a holiday for most people. So it was hard for people to get on the call. So from Lynn's call, as I said, we got a lot of information about what could happen when you grow. And Ginger, you had a great experience after that. And I feel like maybe the message you were sending me about it was from that call, you had a little bit of reflection on some choices you could make to maybe alleviate the pain you and your friend were having, and you had a really great result. Does that sound right?
Yeah. You know, Cassandra, I can't believe it's been a week and a half already since I talked about it. And I have to tell you, I'm actually more excited to share it today because I keep reflecting on it and I'm getting bigger distinctions, quite frankly.
Wow.
And so, you know, when we talk about going from fear to love, just that concept is huge, right? And you can't outthink yourself. You literally have to move through it. Mm-hmm. And so my goal here is really give a little bit of context about my friendship with my dear friend Elizabeth. Mm-hmm. Talk about maybe how I was feeling, and it was pretty heavy, quite frankly. And then my approach on how to manage that relationship, and most of all, the outcome. And so, you know, based on what Lynn was talking about. And I will tell you, I did not strategize and all this stuff, but I did know in my heart, I didn't feel good.
Right.
And so let me start with the context. 1995, after I got out of the military, I was passing through Denver, Colorado, and I never left. And Elizabeth was one of my first friends. So we were in our 20s. We began as kind of wild drinking buddies, and we played basketball. But our friendship has always been set in supporting our growth for one another. And quite frankly, the last 20 years, really a lot of our relationship context is around the corporate world and how we've gotten, you know, higher levels of education and helped us through that, each other through that hard work. And so when I talked to her a few months ago that I was quitting my job, something shifted in her and me, and our relationship hasn't been the same for months. I mean, when I go home to Denver, that's the first relationship I make sure to spend the time with, because I've always wanted to cultivate it for the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. And so when I was disheartened, there was a lot of distance, lack of communication. What I really started feeling was, I'm going to lose my best friend. And I ultimately in my gut knew maybe this was her protective way of saying, Ginger, you're not making the right decision. You're letting go of a lot of income. You're taking too much risk. I'm worrying for you. I had that in my instinct. But what I realized this week, you guys, is that this worry, as I go off on my own business, and this disconnect in this relationship was also causing a different fear, a different layer, which was, I'm going to have to be by myself. I'm going to lose the support. And quite frankly, I was okay. I was not okay with it, but I was still willing to forge forward. But I felt deep loss, quite frankly. And so there was a Friday night before I went to Florida. I just happened to be in Denver overnight, and my plans didn't work out. And so what I did out of instinct was text my friend Elizabeth, said, what are you doing? And what I realized, I was disrupting the pattern, which is always good, right? In these kind of situations. And I said, come over, let's just talk. And it was just out of the blue and random. So when she came over, I can't begin to express to you what I felt from seeing her face. She was so down. And so I said, hey, get in my car. I'm going to drive you. Let's go get some pizza and we'll just hang out at my house. And So we did that. And what I decided to do in that moment, I actually cared about her so much. I was able to leave my feelings aside, our relationship, and I just really approached her, asking her questions. How are you doing? I'm literally sensing some, discord. You look stressed. How's your health? So I really approached a holistic caring, I guess, how I would describe it. So again, I just want to say I didn't have all this planned. It wasn't an intervention, but I led from my heart and caring and love. Mm-hmm. And so what I found out, you guys, is she wanted to leave her job, and she approached her partner and got shut down. And it's affecting her health. So she felt rejection, but then she was looking at me, but she was acting out of her own experience, wanting to take a sabbatical, and she was hurt. But I just listened, and I didn't try to fix it. Ironically, Carolyn put that post in. I didn't try to fix it. I just listened and gave her my heart. And so the outcome was actually deeper connection for us. And I did that through love, no matter what.
Right.
And most of all, I think what I wanted was support is actually what I gave. And now I really believe this is maybe the beginning of the next level of our relationship. So it worked for a good outcome, but just because of my approach, I didn't know what the outcome was going to be. And I will tell you, even if it went the different direction, I could have been satisfied because I acted out of love.
Right.
And that was probably the biggest lesson. So that's kind of what happened.
Wow. Amazing. So a few really great points about that. First of all, you completely removed yourself and you recognized that it wasn't personal. Let me just put this on gallery so we'll see each other. Yeah, so that it wasn't personal. I learned that about maybe 4 years ago. I think the one book, and I've recommended to a few people, David R. Hawkins' Letting Go. He has a number of really good books that I've read, but that book, for some reason, it really hit me, and I learned that at that time, none of it's personal. And, I practice it all the time, and nobody can be perfect at it because sometimes you get hurt. But for the most part, things are not personal. So you took yourself out of that and just focused on her, and it alleviated all her fear. Or not all of her fear, but some of it, right? So she felt safe and she was able to move back towards you. That's another reason I feel that the relationship is now strengthened, right?
Yeah, I'll support her even going forward.
Yeah, you focused on her, and now she's not as afraid, and she's probably not as afraid now of losing you, which was one of the big fears. And also what you talked about, coming from your heart and not in your head. That's huge for me. And I don't know for other people, but for me, it almost doesn't feel like a decision I have to make anymore. I don't know if it's because I've been practicing it so long, but for the most part, and maybe it's correlated to not taking things personally, but for the most part, I don't really even have to think about things anymore in that way. I just can feel what is the right decision. And like when I'm speaking to people, if they've come to me for some help or guidance or whatever the situation is, I just start speaking to them and I don't really think ahead. What do I have to say? Like we had that one call, that group call, and we were talking about that, not having the fear of what to say to people when you're wanting to help them, because if it's coming through you, you can't get it wrong, right? So that's basically the experience you're having. So
yeah. And trusting that instinct, and I guess what I heard you just say, which triggered me, is even in my meetings at work, sometimes I get into overthinking, over planning, which gets into that perfection maybe, and then all of a sudden more stress and more fear. It actually adds to that. So I've actually just really, since this experience, and I'm studying a little bit of, more about communications, I'm literally going in and just listening to people. And it is amazing when people just, I think somebody said, once I get heard, it's out of my body. And when it's out of my body, I feel good. And I've really been trying to capitalize on that because I can see it and it gets me excited when somebody else's relief.
Right. Yeah. When you just ask them questions and let them get it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost like they healed just because they got it out of them, even if there was no, end result to the conversation, just from them releasing it.
Yeah. And you do that from your heart.
Right.
Yeah.
So you had a good result. So now, it looks like going forward, you and your friend will be able to continue connection, which is amazing.
Yes.
Right. So again, just to kind of remember that's a beautiful thing. Doesn't always have to be the case. We also have to be okay with letting people go. It doesn't always work out that way, but the goal, I think, here we're talking about is to grow in ourselves even more, so that when we have the opportunity to help the other person alleviate their fears, we can offer that and then minimize the collateral damage of our own growth, right?
Yeah, yeah. And, I love that you say that, Cassandra, because in the past, I would have said, yeah, it's fine, I'll let him go, but it was really shutting off.
Yeah.
But I think I'm transforming as we grow together to say, yeah, if I would have to let him go, I'd still stay open.
Right.
So that's been a dance.
That's a really good point, because the last call when we had, you asked me if I've had this experience, and I have. Someone very close to me completely shut me out. It turned out to be, because of the situation and the relationship, it ended up being actually 3 people that are very close to me. And that one person kind of led the 3 of them to completely leave my life. And I was at a level at that point where at least I understood it was from their fear. So I accepted it, didn't take it personally for the most part. It's challenging. And I just accepted it. But wasn't at a point where I really could figure out what else I could do about it. So I feel this is a really important topic, because there is things we can do about it.
Yeah.
We have to just be even higher consciousness and stay there, so when we have that interaction, we don't get triggered back down and potentially make things worse. So the goal is to have everybody feeling less fear, feeling safer and reconnected. So, so that's really important.
Yes.
Thanks so much for sharing that story. I know so many people are going to benefit, whoever gets a chance to watch this. Kathy, did you want to speak about any of your experiences? It's okay if you don't. It's all good. I just didn't want to leave you out.
Oh, it's all good right now. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, well,
this is great.
That was really, really great. If there's nothing else that you want to add. Oh, Lori's just coming on. Hang on one sec. Hi, Lori. Hi, Lori. Can you hear us? Lori is my cousin, my second cousin. So it's really exciting that she's coming on the call. So what we'll do then is we'll have some follow-up. We'll have a guest speaker for next Wednesday, potentially to follow up from this, or possibly a different topic. Hi, Lori. Did you see us? So we'll do, I think Wednesday mornings are going to work well, based on, there's so many different factors, so many different groups, so many different calls. But I think this is going to work well. So we'll continue with Wednesday morning at 7. I'll put this on the Facebook group, and I'm also setting up the Ripple Effect YouTube channel. So I'll be doing that, and we're doing the website, so I'll be linking everything together. So
look at you, technology queen.
Well,
I know.
Support with that, because I really have no clue what I'm doing. But it's all good. It's going to take a whole village, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I'm going to have to learn that someday.
Yeah, exactly. As long as I understand what other people are doing when they're helping me with it, then I feel comfortable. But to do that by myself, I wouldn't know what I'm doing. So, but yeah. I don't give up. So it's going to happen. Yeah. So I will post this, and I'll post our next meeting, our guest speaker. And thank you so much, Ginger. It was really great to hear your story.
Pleasure. And I keep saying to people who are timid about videos or whatever, I firmly believe, even when I tell this story twice, I feel so much better because I know I can do it again. And so I truly believe when we participate and play full out, we're learning at a faster and rapid pace.
Oh, yeah.
And so thank you for having me on, because I'm ready to do it. There's a family member that I need to have this conversation with, and we'll see what happens. But now I at least know how to approach it and at a higher level of consciousness, just like you talked about, Cassandra.
Yeah, and you have an idea of what the outcome could potentially look like if you follow the same path. So it takes away the fear of, well, how are they going to react, or what's the outcome going to be? Is it going to be, more damaging, or is it going to be a good outcome? So you basically repeat what you did, and you'll likely have a good outcome.
Yeah. So thank you for having me on.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so we'll see you all next week. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Have a great day.